everybody, this is Faith. I'm gonna go ahead and do this reading. I won't be on the camera right now. I think it just is more important to kind of show some of the pulls that I've done for this particular reading. And of course, I had a couple other people just kind of verify some information because the last 2 weeks have been very interesting for me, at least. I know some of my intuitive friends had been getting, we would say, like a lot of downloads. They've been extra sleepy and needing to rest to get some information during dreams, probably from their guides and ancestors or whomever. Because there's going to be some major changes here soon. So if you're intuitive, you probably have noticed you're around this time, the past few weeks, you're getting a lot of dreams, and you're not the only one. The last time I did a reading like this was in March, and it was pretty crazy because everything just kind of happened linear, and it was spot on. And almost to the point where I was a little nervous to do it again, but we kind of knew it was up, but I wasn't expecting it to be kind of so bad news bears. But that's okay. Knowledge is power, so I really hope a lot of people really do at least listen to the video. It's not going to be very aesthetically pleasing or like super professional, but there will be some good information here. I really hope so, because that's why I'm doing it. So let's just go ahead and get into this, okay? Last reading we did see the death of, I'll just spell it out, Queen. I probably will write some details there, and then the indications with the new King. The reason why I'm spelling that out is because YouTube really cut off my video, like most of it, and so unfortunately, if they do that again, I doubt that somebody reported it, because usually they'll let us know. But if they do it again, I'll just keep uploading it. I'm gonna save this video and I'll just keep doing it, because that was pretty crass of them. I don't know if it's because I mentioned about that country that's been at war, or one or the other. I have no idea. It doesn't matter at this point. So I'll be very careful. We know about the algorithms, and I'll just put different code. I don't think we're not mentioning really either of the two. I put enough information regarding what's going on in the UK. I wrote about it just a little bit. We just saw a little bit, and obviously that's manifesting now. But the reading that I'm doing today has nothing to do with any of that, so I don't think I'll have to worry about doing code words. Okay, let's get on to the reading here. We're seeing a lot of people this year, just generally, their sacrals have been blocked, okay? And if it's not happening now, it's going to happen. And that's basically because there's a slow buildup of fear. A lot of people it's kind of split. We have some of the population that are already just like at their wits' end. I probably am seeing it more profoundly because of the area that I live in right now. But generally, over time, this should be shared, where people are going to be more and more afraid of what's happening in the future, their financial future. And that will build up stress, and so when that's blocked, you'll see different reactions, typically through males and females. So I know here where I'm at, we're already seeing the frustration. We're already seeing the pull. Sadly, people, the ratio as far as financial distress is much higher over here. It's more expensive here. So in those areas, probably like, Florida, maybe Texas. I shouldn't be as bad. Probably more like a little bit on the East Coast in certain areas like New York, southern New York, not, I wouldn't say like upstate. Chicago, certain areas where it's a little bit more expensive, Oregon, California, just generally those metropolitan areas, people are going to feel that strap of financial burden much sooner than in other places, but it will go down pretty much like a domino effect, okay? In the beginning of this, people really, we do see some victories and successes. We do see some wisdom gained. This year, a little bit from already the financial stresses. They were kind of minor. Did we do adjustments though? A lot of people didn't, and so there seems to be kind of this disconnection and a lot of boredom, because a lot of people thought by now they would be in a better financial place than they were, a few years ago. We kind of did a little bit of a bounce back from the pandemic. Okay, we're able to go out. There were certain things, and then all of a sudden, we're in this state where, people want to spend still a little bit more frivolously than they should, okay? So it's going to be a challenge between that, where people are a little bit disconnected. Either, they feel like they can, finally they can go out, finally they can, spend or whatever, and then now it's like, now they're kind of blocked and like, shit, man, like, I can't even, like, do what I want to do anymore. Like, I guess I'm really, like, stuck inside, but now it's like for a completely whole different reason. It's going to be kind of like that for a lot of people, okay? And a lot of people are just generally not, like, tapped up into their intuition. There's a lot of misinformation, coming from, we'll say, the powers that be, that they're not being directly honest as far as what's really going on. So instead of, saying, okay, this would probably be a really good decision. I feel like shit might hit the fan here. This is what we need to do. A lot of people are just a little in a state of confusion because they're not sure. Oh, maybe it'll change next week, right? Oh, maybe things will improve it. So they're just kind of like this waiting game, waiting on to hear back. And so it puts people just out of sync intuitively, okay? So there's still traumas. There's still traumas from for some that had to go through being disconnected from their loved ones, or lost the loved ones from this whole schmill of the past, like, 2 or 3 years. Okay, but we see a lot of moving on. We trying to just forget the past, and so there's a positive move forward. Now we just see like a mental conflict, shit, like what's what to do next, we're kind of we don't get a reprieve. We wanted to go back the way it was, basically, and it's not quite, and then now it's like bad news bears. And so, like, if it's not happening to them, they're going to start seeing their friends, their family members, or just even on the news here and there, of this, like, pending doom again, but it's like something totally different, right? And then, I wouldn't I hope to God that, there's not some other kind of, I won't go into that. I can't, because they would definitely will cut off my video for sure. So I can't use any of the words like of any kind of illness or something that could be going on. I just won't go there. But you can imagine that's how it's been for the past 2 years. It's always something, every few months. It's like a new whatever that's going around, and you're like, oh, okay, great. I won't go into that. We're just really talking about the fight, just the ramifications of the last 2 to 3 years, and then now what's coming up next, and the fuckery of that. Okay. And so, we really should be in a time of patience and planning, but basically what we see is a lot of people are intuitively cut off, okay? And this was the confirmation that I really wanted to get from some other intuitives, and it was confirmed. When they did the readings, it was the same thing. It's like, and so we said, why is that happening? And it was said, yes, because the information is just very murky. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, this is happening, but yeah, no, we'll fix it. We're fixing it, guys. We're fixing it, okay? So we see that, not everybody, but a lot of people just really should be really planning and kind of doing what they need to do for themselves, and it just doesn't happen, okay? So instead of making the right choices, I spent 2 weeks doing this, of making, when we have something big like this, forecasting. I won't use keywords here, but you can figure out what I'm telling you when it comes to financial markets, etc., and all that going down. The first thing you have to go is like, okay, what do we do for our financial security for our family? How do we prepare for the next few years, just in case shit does hit the fan, right? Okay. And that's really what people should be doing. People should always have that, but we're just not the way how we're being strapped. A couple of things. Some people are really just have already been living, in this state of survival, a paycheck to paycheck living. They can't see it because they barely can afford, as far as their living circumstances, because of how things are just inflated to begin with. But then we're not trained properly, as far as making those kind of decisions, and then we don't get the right feedback as well. So, they don't give us a course on that in school generally. They don't say, okay, well, you should do A, B, C, D. You have to look it up. You have to kind of figure that out, and it's nice to say, like, oh, you should have, like, your savings and your nest egg and all that, and have this all planned out. But, in a system, I have to be very careful what I say. A lot of people went through that already, all right? They literally went through their, savings and stuff just with the inflation alone, okay? That's something that most people know, okay? So that makes it very hard for people to figure out, with all the, we would say, like, misinformation or murky information, whatever it is. Hope that's kind of, after being overwhelmed with what's just happened and all that confusion, a lot of people are just, they're kind of more like day to day versus like, okay, what do I do for this month or 6 months down the road or a year or whatever. And I'm telling you or not, you should. If you're watching this video, it's not by mistake. Do what you need to do. All right, do what you need to do. Figure it out. Plan for that. All right. And there's no pussyfooting around. I'm being direct, and that was the reason for this whole video. The people who watch it, I'm glad that they do look at the information. So it's just gonna repeat a little bit, and then we'll talk about some of that. So there's more. This I would say, not this half of the year, because I did the reading in March, so we say starting from September on, the next 6 months, we'll say 6 months, we see more truth coming out. We're seeing general happiness that does exist right now. Okay, doesn't mean that everybody is feeling kind of everybody's hurting financially or starting to feel the pinch. We have relatively, but you're hearing about it with others. Not everybody's feeling it yet. We'll put it that way. Okay, so there's more general overall focus, but when it comes to like enlightenment and having I would say probably a better word would be having actual clarity. That's not there. Just the general overall energy of Gaia. Okay. No major changes, really. We can't say that, there's any major changes. General, it's kind of the same BS, okay, coming from, let's say the powers that be. We do have a better sense of community, okay, so that's something that we're seeing a change of. There is a better sense of community, and we should see more and more of that as people might be a little bit disconnected right now, a little frustrated, a little off the edge, the ones that are initially, like, oh crap, what do I do? That's normal, but generally when we start to see more and more people are struggling, your fellow brother struggling, we will have a better sense of community there and understanding and supporting each other. Okay, so that is something that we will see that was kind of lacking from before. Okay, there's a lot of disconnection when we were very separated and wearing those face diapers and things like that. I hate to say it that way, and the only reason why I'm saying it that way is because keywords and stuff, so algorithms, I don't want to have any issues there. So I'm not turning this into anything crazy. I'm just using that term for a lack of better words, but I love the term because it's hysterical. Okay, so and we see people with more courage, general courage, and people will develop more courage. We that's something that's innate inside of us. When we get challenged, so that's a very positive card. But when it comes to chaos and things going crazy, like I said, there seems to be a disconnect there. So a lot of people are disconnected. A lot of this is life path. We're supposed to do something with it. We don't have to be victims. A lot of these things will push people into the right direction. They'll push people to their destiny. I can't tell you how many positive things came out of the pandemic. Let's not talk about bad things, okay? Hopefully they don't cut off my video from saying that word. Damn it. A lot of positive things came out of it, versus negative. So we got to really, that's the whole point of, we're supposed to be on this ascension process. We're supposed to be taking that chaos, because remember, chaos is the ladder. That's how we change, and through that darkness we have to find the light and adjust. So there was good things here. Now we see diligence. Obviously we have no choice, and then we see people are going to obviously be more diligent. So you're going to be seeing a less laziness, and then because there has been a whole lot of that going on, and then illumination. Okay, so this is not really a bad news bears. People, when they're pushed in a certain way, now even the power, well, how do I say this? I would say the powers that be. I would say how do I say dark forces. I would say the people who, I won't go into all that. Yeah, I can't. I hate being on. I hate doing this on this platform because it's like I have to be so careful with my verbiage. I would say that would be the excuse of, I would say, the quote elite or whatever that would do any kind of like craft. I'll put it that way. Um, that's their excuse anyway. It's just that through darkness comes light and all that. Uh, when it comes to that duality, but generally there really is a truth of that. It's just our choice on that matter. So let's go into here. So, we're really, during this time, we will see more like leadership qualities, people taking the lead of their life, leadership qualities that will be pulled out generally. But when it comes to risk taking, that's really what needs to happen here. Basically, if you can get anything off this video, if it's a little confusing for you, the most important thing to get from this is that do what you need to do. Start planning right now for the next few years of getting yourself financially secure. And when you do that, then you can, when you're secure there, then you can go ahead and take do the risk taking. If you are not planning out, you're not going to feel comfortable doing any kind of risk taking. Okay, so that's generally, that's pretty sound information whenever we go into something like this, like a financial crisis or whatever. Is that basically the ones that are prepared and ready actually will take advantage of certain things, and the ones that are not are SOL, and that's not, you don't want to go through that, some people can get really affected for years and years and have a hard recovery. It just depends on that person and the situation in their life. You know your circumstances better than anybody. Do what you need to do to adjust and make sure that you have that firm foundation, and once you do, then you can go ahead and do the risk taking. So that's how we float above. That's how we float above the chaos. Okay? All right. So we'll go ahead and do just really quickly here. There was something I need to put. Oh, it's okay. Comes back. All right. So generally, overall, there seems to be a little bit more, better karmic energy coming through versus in the recent past. So that's good. I won't get into this, but we obviously know that many people were affected by certain things that had happened in the past few years. Now they are not so much. Okay, so that's good. So there's a better, I would say, reprieve from the consensus of the crap that was going on the last 2 years. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of, some people recovered. Let's talk about business. Some people recovered, some people just did not, okay? It was really, really hard for a lot of folks. So we see just this general, overall, like, survival from that. And then some burnout, okay? So this is going to be a very interesting time. We can't really mark it. We can't really compare it to anything else because we just came from 2 to 3 years of, oh my God, right? Like craziness. And now this. So we were already kind of like shaky. We saw so many, businesses and stuff be affected, people be affected, right? And then, and then now this is going on, right? That's crazy. I don't think, at least in the past 100 years, there has been a time like that where, I don't know. I don't think there has been where, went through 2 3 years of that, I'm not going to use the certain words. I guess I could say pandemic, but then now we're gonna get, we already were kind of pulled and stretched already. Okay. Um, and so this is really probably, this is a caveat between people that are cut off intuitively. So this repeats again. And so this basically shows that people are going to have a kind of struggling between making difficult decisions and or having inability to make up their mind. I think the inability to make up their mind is because just murky information. Okay. And so if you get anything out of this, really understand that you need to trust your intuition on this. All right. And if you just trust your gut, okay, and say, okay, I feel, this is where my weaknesses are, as far as my securities or whatever. Let me go ahead and take care of that, okay. Because there's a repression there. There's a lot of with people, like people have had to give up already, whatever it was, going out, seeing, and so, relationships even got affected, and really people don't want to give up all those things, and so you kind of have this battle between temptation, but knowing that, you're going to have to still make some sacrifices for a lot of people, but it won't feel that way if you plan out and do the things you need to do. So that's generally, that's when, if we do that, then we'll see like success, wealth, positivity, even warmth, vitality, energy that comes through. All right. But it's something that's going to have to be generally, sadly, it seems for most people, it's going to have to be on the level of an individual level. There's not going to be very much collaboration with it. We can't rely on anybody else to help us. Something that we have to intuitively do, and not really rely on anybody to do that for us. I mean, obviously, if you're working with a professional or something like that, like, that's fine, but don't expect somebody to like your family member or friend or whatever. Sadly, for most people, it's not something that they can draw out. This is something that you have to independently do on an individual level. Okay. So this is what, this is what we see, we see, this would be the difference between struggle or success financially, okay? So the ones that plan ahead and do what they need to do, and there's a million ways to handle your finances and a plan in advance. The ones that, let's list off some things here of what you can do. There's a million things you can do you cut your costs, right? Okay, you have to trim the fat a little bit here, and you got to go, okay, I'm not going to eat out as much, or I'm gonna do this, and to make some sacrifices here, or maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe it's just everybody knows their situation here, but let's just say like the average Joe or whatever has like two incomes or whatever, and they go, okay, you know what, we're gonna limit like our eating out like twice a month, and we're gonna like use coupons, or we're gonna go like do bulk shopping, and maybe we'll even like bake our own bread, and we won't spend, and then we're gonna take this money and we're gonna like put it in this stock or whatever, like some sin stocks or something like that, or like the Dollar Tree stocks, like discount store stocks, something like that, right? Something, obviously something that you would generally would know to thrive during a hard market when everything else is falling. or, we're going to go ahead and invest our money in whatever it is, right? So the people that have done that are going to thrive, and the ones that have not done that, this is a critical key point of this reading, is that the ones that are not intuitive, that don't make those changes, well, that's a difference between, I wouldn't even say like recovery. I would say that they're okay, but versus an actual financial struggle. Okay, I think that it won't be a struggle. It might be like kind of like just doing what you need to do, whatever that is for you. For instance, when we went through the last, I won't say the word here because they probably will pull it, but when we went through the last financial crisis of, I think it was like 2008, it's different for everybody. So, I at that time worked with a lot of physicians, and, generally they were already screaming because of at the time they were already like hurting because of Obamacare, right? So, and so that was hard for them. So they were feeling that pinch initially, probably more so before anybody else. And so what does a doctor do that generally what makes good money? Well, they started selling off their cars, and I guarantee you that it's already starting to happen with people who generally would have good money coming in. Some people are already doing that. Well, the wealthier are going to start selling off some of their assets, right? We know of a business that's down the street. They just sold something, that they're well known for their store, just so they could pay their rent last month. Okay, so some people are already feeling it, some people are not. What they do to adjust, that's fine, but it's going to be far more than like, oh, just get through this month. No, honey, we need to plan in advance for the next 3 years. Okay. So some of this challenge is about servitude, not servitude, but a little bit like about weakness, and it's something about like freedoms, and basically, I think really the key line is that a lot of people felt, I don't know if the right word is neglected, but they felt like they really were kind of tied down the last 2-3 years for whatever reason. Everybody's a little bit different. And so that also could be kind of blocking, like, man, I already went through this, like, I don't want to, I still want to take that trip, or I still want to go ahead and spend this money. I still want to kind of, not spoil, but, like, I didn't get to do it now. Like, we have some people struggling with that as well, okay? And so they miss that opportunity. And I'm telling you, it's better to go ahead and, like I said, do the planning, trim the fat a little bit right now, so you can go ahead and still have that freedom and not have it at all. Okay, I guess it's the whole point of that. So this is really about doing this on doing this on your own, being independent, being analytical. Putting those clear boundaries up for yourself. Not feeling like a victim during this time. Just doing what you need to do. At the end of the line, just staying focused and saying, I'm going to have victory in this. I'm going to have success in this, while other people, we're going to just prepare yourself. People may not do what they need to do. That should not have anything to do with you. So finding your truth, doing what you need to do for you is very, very important. Don't do what the next person does. It's going to be different for everybody. So don't rely on that. Let's say you have the same business as somebody else, or whatever, or it's your coworker or something like that. Don't do what they do. Do what's good for you. So you really have to really trust your gut, trust your intuition. Sit there, do the homework. And it will take a little bit of time, but just doing that alone will really I wouldn't say unblocked because I don't know if your sacral is blocked, but it definitely will keep it from being blocked, right? Because you won't have that fear, so you will go ahead and um, be free there, all right, versus that kind of energy that's running through others. All right. Right, and so basically, in that energy, that's when you become efficient, and through the hard work and planning and in conservatism, there's victory there. Okay, and that's exactly what I see. So you want that's the whole point. Do you want to be frustrated? Do you want to be worried? Do you want to be kind of this month okay, this month not, kind of for the next week? No. Why don't you just do what you need to do? Okay. So, all right, we're going to that. It's just generally just kind of it's talking about kind of a little bit of living in the past and feeling kind of disappointments and losses. Okay, so that's obviously that's just generally the energy of kind of we're kind of repressed. I don't even think a lot of people are even thinking about that right now, but it's there. So, and this is the energy that we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid that lack of focus. Once again, we're trying to, because it's going to invert. Okay, if you don't do that, then you're taking a risk for having that, just being intuitively cut off, having lack of focus. This will just get worse and worse because you just will have just a general exhaustion, feeling of burned out, and that fear, nervousness, whatever. Okay, so that's pretty much the reading here. And so it's really just talking about, as I said, those how things are going to be financially. So do the homework, do what you need to do for you, and everything should be fine. Okay. I hope this helps out many people. Many blessings and take care.